are testing these and being tested all the time. In Alpha Krav Maga, we're unique. We are connected with law enforcement across the United States.
And you train,
we training all the time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we're
Okay.
training as a group all the time. We're training in LA, Chicago, South Carolina, North Carolina, here in Boston, down on the Cape. We have a lot of facilities. Connecticut, the Northeast Regional Training Facility for Alpha. We train all the time.
Oh, wow.
We're probably training 6 to 8 days every 2.5 months.
Oh, wow.
Very intense training, and we bring people over from Israel to train us. General Bronstein was just here. He's a general with the Israeli Border Patrol. He did he did 10 days with us, and
that's great.
implementing different techniques. And
So tell me more, can you get a little more in depth of Alpha Krav Maga and its teachings and how it came to be, actually?
It began with Emi Lichtenfeld, who was living in Bratislava in Czechoslovakia, a very rough urban town. He was also a championship boxer and wrestler in Europe. His father was a police detective, and he approached Emi and he said, "Emi, my detectives are getting beat up in the street." He said, "You know, you're a good fighter." He said, "Is there anything you could teach them so that this wouldn't be happening?"
Oh, all right.
And that's how it started to form into an actual system.
Oh, okay.
And Emi started working on this. And then it evolved to when he moved to Israel. The Israelis in the 60s were looking for a system that they could teach the people that served in the Israeli Defense Force. The IDF is a everybody in Israel serves a mandatory 2 years, men and women.
Oh.
And they didn't have a hand-to-hand system.
Oh, okay.
And they, someone said, "Well, I know this man who's really, he's got a system that he trains in." So they went down and talked to him, and they liked what they saw, so they adopted it. So this is what the Israeli Defense Force, the Israeli military, uses this system.
And then it came to the United
It
States.
came to the United States in the 90s, and it's been growing since then. It's very popular for those that know about it and train in it.
And so you're boxing, you're in security, you're doing a lot, you're in carpentry.
Yes,
You were
yes.
talking to me about that earlier. And so then what led you to then become your own instructor?
Well, you know, the fishing was is a very grueling job, and I started to get some work on shore, and wanted something. I like to work with my hands, so I get into the carpentry,
Right.
and then I was living on Nantucket for 12 years, and I began to study Taekwondo out there, and rose up through the ranks to black belt, and was competing around New England, and really loved it. And then a friend at the time said, "Hey, have you heard of Krav Maga?" And I said, "Yeah, as a matter of fact, I have." He said,
From your earlier days, right?
Right.
Oh,
Well,
wow.
I had also worked in Nova Scotia as a bodyguard for a wealthy Jewish club owner and furrier, and his son had just come back from serving in the IDF, and we were training a little bit there too. So I kept seeing it, and
Isn't that funny? Through your journey of life,
Yes.
you landed.
yes,
As an
and
instructor,
so
that's cool.
as I was saying, my friend at the time, he said, "Listen, you know, we could train for this, and they would consider us for instructor candidates, and we could start a school." So I went, and that's the first time that I met Sam Sadeh, who is now a very close friend and the CEO and founder of Alpha Krav Maga. And we went through 8 days of training, 10 hours a day, and I had done triathlons, marathons, boxing, Taekwondo, and it was the first time in my life I had ever used Bengay.
Really?
It was unbelievable.
It was that intense.
It was unbelievably intense. I was soaking 5 T-shirts a day.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
Wow. And is that how it is for everyone, or would it?
That's how it is for instructors. They hold
Oh,
the instructors
okay.
to a very high standard.
Yes.
You have to submit a ton of, you have to meet a ton of criteria before
Right.
they'll even consider you for the
Wow.
position. They do a background check. They really take a look at who you are, and then they'll see if you can make it through phase training.
Wow. So you made it.
I did.
And then what was the next step for you? Because now you have you have your own place
Sure.
in Hanover,
The-
right?
Yes,
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 yes.
yeah. I located at the Hanover Mall. I was looking around for a venue. There wasn't anything close to where I live on the Cape, and I missed training in Krav Maga regularly. I had been driving to Boston to train, and it just became very, very tedious after a day of carpentry and working outside all year long,
Right.
and whether it's heat or cold. And I decided to go back to this, and I contacted Sam, and I went to LA, and I trained for 9 days straight, and I got recertified, and he brought me up to speed on everything because the Krav Maga evolves constantly.
So when you're not participating, you miss it. Is that
Absolutely.
what yeah.
I missed the workout. I missed the reality of the training.
Right.
And I'd studied other martial arts growing up, and I had never come across immediately like I did in Krav Maga, defenses against knives, guns, bottles, multiple attackers.
Right.
I mean, it was right there, right now. And I said, wow, I love this.
Right.
I mean, it's germane to everything I had been doing.
Yes, yes. And so now you have a studio, your own studio, and how does
Yes.
that feel to now you're kind of, are you teaching the classes?
I am teaching all the classes, and I have a youth boxing program, but I'm focusing on the Krav Maga. I had been looking around for the right venue for about 2.5 years. I had been still working as a carpenter and saving my money and buying equipment and things like that. And then I actually went into the Hanover Mall just to talk to the manager because he's a friend of mine, just to have a cup of coffee. And he said, "Oh, you're here to look at some spaces?" And I said, "Yeah, sure, as long as it involves a cup of coffee, let's go do it." So I saw this space, and I fell in love with it immediately. 20-foot high ceilings, 1,000 square feet of open space. The first 12 feet and 3 walls was all faux brick, very urban and gritty.
Right,
And
right.
it just fantastic. And I said, I want this place. What's this going to cost me?
Right.
So we negotiated a deal, and I went in and I started to put the pads down. I drove to Chicago. One of our board of directors, I got some mats from him and drove out there and got them and came back, started putting the mats down. And I had a certain amount of capital, and I said, well, I could spend it all and just max this place out with all kinds of equipment.
Right.
But what I did was I took the capital that I had and I put it into an escrow account to pay for the lease for 16 months,
Right.
to guarantee the school would be there. I had enough equipment to start training. And as I said to people, I said, we have enough equipment to train. Let's face it, folks, the Israelis do this stuff in the desert.
Right, you don't need the
We-
perfect.
We find a way.
Yes.
There's so much leading up to that. So within 4 months, I'll have everything I need.
Right.
And I've got some
right.
great plans, and my building experience is helping me put it together.
Right.
And
so
it's all coming together now.
And so here, right, and so here in the All Friends Cabaret, I always ask my guests to share with the audience, because it does sound like your journey led you to doing what you're meant to be doing.
Yes.
So tell me how you would encourage someone to follow their same path, and what kind of advice would you give them? Because it sounds like, I don't know how long this dream was for you. Was it for a long time? Did you ever think you'd own a studio? What was your...
I put certain things on hold. We had a son. I was working. I enjoy carpentry, but I really did miss this. This is a huge aspect of who I am. Great workouts. I like to exercise. I like to stay in shape. I like to feel confident. All these benefits. My self-esteem level is important.
Right.
All these benefits that I think everybody wants.
Right, right. So how would you encourage someone to go out and follow their path?
The very first thing that we need to do is identify what our path is. We have to have a target.
Right.
We have to find out what it is that lights our fire, and then find a way to do that, to get after that.
Right, and sometimes, so for some reason, some people don't really know what their
Sure.
path is yet. But then I always see, just hearing your story tonight, it always kind of pointed back to you, what Alpha Krav Maga was supposed to be for you.
There's signs along the way. We need to relax, pay attention to what the signs are. If you don't know what it is, it's time to experiment, do some research. Go out there. You have to get out there and find out what it is you like or don't like, and gather this information all the time, and then you'll be able to make your decisions.
Right.
And for me, it was, as you said, it kept leading back to this. I'm passionate about it. I love teaching students. I love to see them becoming more confident, getting in shape, having self-esteem. They really, I'm telling you, to see them come alive like that is the greatest reward.
No, that's great. That's great. So at this time, I will ask the crew to put up what I do is I encourage my guests to come on the show. And I invite all of you to come on the Cabaret if you have a story to share. Jack's journey has certainly been a really interesting one. I welcome you to reach out to me. Tell us your Facebook page.
It's Alpha Krav Maga South Shore, and we're located at the Hanover Mall.
Great, and
great
if you have
space.
questions for Jack, you can certainly reach out to me. We're on Twitter, we're on Facebook. My website's allfriendscabaret.com. Jack, what a great story to come
Thank
in.
you.
What a great
Oh, thanks
art.
for having me.
What a great art to share with our audience, and some good tips. Because
Yes.
you know we are a distracted
Very.
community, you know,
Sure.
and I think that a lot of your tips and this Alpha Krav Maga is so interesting.
Yes, it is.
So thank you so much for coming on and
Thank you for
sharing your
having me.
story.
It's been great here.
And hey, send me an email, reach out to me, and come on the Cabaret. And for now, we'll see you next time on the All Friends Cabaret. Thanks for joining us.